Obviously, a little bit of a different situation here with crazy times, but we appreciate everybody's time and jumping on here today. We certainly wish we would be doing this in person, but hopefully soon we will, and hope that everybody, on behalf of the entire organization, certainly want to hope everybody's healthy and staying safe during these times. And we're looking forward to getting back to hopefully doing these in person and seeing our local media friends as well as our fans and corporate partners again real soon. But want to welcome you today. We want to welcome our new head coach and general manager to the Stampede family, Mr. Marty Murray. As you have seen from our release today, we'll hear from him. We'll hear from Stampede managing partner, one of the majority owners of the Stampede, Mr. Brian Schoenborn. And at the end of this here today, we'll have some time for some questions, and media members can certainly ask those, and we'll kind of go from there. On Tuesday, club announced that Marty Murray has been named the 8th head coach and general manager in franchise history. Murray has an extremely impressive hockey playing and coaching resume. He spent the last 8.5 seasons as head coach and GM of the Minot Toros of the North American Hockey League. During that time, Marty had over 250 career wins, including 6 straight winning seasons between 2014 and 2020. He led the Toros to division championship during the 2016-17 season and took Minot to the Robertson Cup finals in 2018. His accolades include North American Hockey League Central Coach of the Year in 2015, NAHL Central General Manager of the Year in 2016 and 17, and was named the 2019 North American Hockey League General Manager of the Year. In addition to that, the Toros organization was also awarded the NAHL Central Organization of the Year honors in 2014 and 15, as well as the 2016 and 17 seasons. On top of that, Murray's teams made the playoffs for the past 7 years, which is the second longest active streak in the league. Murray's coaching skills have been proven each year, where he helped over 100 players secure Division I scholarships during his tenure in Minot, including the LA Kings forward Blake Lizotte, who tallied 52 points in 56 games under Marty during the 2014-15 season. He then moved on to play in the USHL with the Fargo Force, and then to Division I St. Cloud State, as we like to refer to as the Harvard of the Midwest, and now playing with the LA Kings. Murray's extensive playing background also includes being a 4th-round draft pick of the Calgary Flames, and NHL experience includes 261 games between the Flames, Hurricanes, and Kings organizations. He also captained St. John to a Calder Cup championship in the American Hockey League in 2001. Certainly, Marty has been a winner wherever he has gone. At this time, I'd like to introduce Stampede managing partner, Brian Schoenborn. Brian?
Thanks, Jim. What a process. It's kind of crazy that we're in the situation with the virus and doing it this way, but it's kind of neat to accept change, and change is one of those natural things in life, and it's a natural thing for our organization. It's hard to believe that we are now onto our 8th coach in Stampede history, head coach in Stampede history, and we couldn't be more excited to have Marty Murray and his family join us and lead the Stampede. Just to give you a little background on how we moved into this process, we knew when Scott Owens agreed to join us that we wouldn't have him forever. We were so fortunate to have him join us after his stint at Colorado College and just take our program to the next level from on and off the ice. Just an incredible person, incredible friend, and a member of our family long term. But he was honest with us that there was a point where he wanted to be done coaching and move on with retirement. And we had been very deliberate with him. Bob Nagley, one of our partners, my partner, and I spent a fair amount of time with Scott over the years, just checking in. And he told us at the beginning of the year that he was going to take a look at this year and decide where he was, but he wasn't sure. And he finally made a decision in about February that this was going to be his last year. And then obviously we saw what happened with the season being cut short with the virus situation. But that started our process to find our next coach. And we are all in the people business, just like every business. It's about people. And we really focus on the best possible people. And we started an exhaustive process, but it really started with our assistant coaches, Rylan and Brett. They're fantastic, and we went through and interviewed them, and were very impressed, but felt we needed to make sure before we made a final decision that we looked out and really saw other people that were out there and other options that we had. And we started talking to our friends in the hockey business, members of the family that we've had over the years inside the Stampede organization, and developed a quite exhaustive list. Talked to NHL people, college hockey people, junior hockey people, people across the world. And almost everyone we trust brought up Marty Murray. And to be honest, I had never met Marty before. I had heard about him just because his reputation as a developer of athletes and people is extraordinary. But the more I started to learn about Marty and all of our group, we had a kind of a committee that we put together of our ownership group: Bob Nagley, Roger Sitt, Mike Steinhauser, Jeff Miller, myself, and then Jim Olander. Our group really dove into this collectively, and started interviewing various people. But again, Marty's name kept coming up, and we became more and more impressed. And really, to a person, Division I coaches, NHL coaches, NHL GMs, just incredibly impressed with Marty. And they said, hey, Marty's had a lot of opportunities. He's very loyal to Minot. He's turned down a lot of opportunities. It's not going to be easy for you to get him out of Minot, but he is someone you absolutely need to put at the top of your list. And we started building the relationship, and we're very, very impressed. Our entire group was incredibly impressed with Marty, his leadership, his humility, the way he sees the full spectrum of the game and the athlete and the development of young people, and his reputation in the sport. We really believe we have the best junior hockey program in the world. And the idea that Marty Murray can lead us to the next chapter of the Sioux Falls Stampede is just thrilling. So we couldn't be more excited to have Marty and Andrea and the kids come to Sioux Falls, make Sioux Falls home, and lead the Stampede.
All right, thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. And now we'll turn it over to Marty. Marty, welcome to Sioux Falls, and feel free here to chat here with our media friends and fans.
Well, first of all, thanks, guys. I'm extremely honored and humbled to be named Coach GM of the Sioux Falls Stampede. And I want to thank Stampede Hockey LLC for having the trust in me to lead this great franchise. My initial talks with Brian Schoenborn were I know he mentioned that I've had some opportunities to leave Minot. I've had 8.5 great years there, and met a lot of family, friends, and have a lot of family in the vicinity. And even before the hockey team was here, Minot was home. We lived here since 2005. It's where our children are born and raised. So, like I said, I've had some opportunities to leave in the past, and it just didn't make sense from a family standpoint. And this one was different. Just talking with Brian in the initial phone calls, this one seemed a little different, and it got my attention. And the more I talked to people in the hockey world, they couldn't speak well enough about the organization, and it's regarded as the best junior program in North America. And as I get to know them, as I get to see the facilities, as I get to visit Sioux Falls, I can see why people say that. And I can't tell you how excited my family, my wife Andrea, my children Alex, Cole, and Anderson are to move to the Sioux Falls area and make it home. On the hockey standpoint, I don't think I reinvented the game or having a leg up on anybody. I come from a small farming community in rural Manitoba, and brought up with good upbringing and strong morals, and that's what we want to put into the Stampede. And the guys before me, most recently Scott Owens, have done a terrific job of that, and I just want to continue on where the program has been for a number of years and keep growing. And part of that is the product on the ice, but it's not everything. I think it's important to not only recruit good hockey players, but good kids as well. We want to be upstanding members of the community and recognize that little boys and girls look up to these guys like NHL players, and that's something that we'll hammer home to our players day one at training camp, is that, hey, you guys are role models here. You have a responsibility to do real good things not only on the ice but outside the hockey rink too. So on the ice, real excited to get after it. Obviously, it's a hectic time with the draft coming up here Monday, Tuesday. This is probably the first time when my phone's been away from my ear, but real excited about it. And I know the staff with the Stampede have done a tremendous job pounding the pavement and doing the recruiting. And I'm looking forward to getting together with them, Sunday night and working into the draft Monday, Tuesday to start building the team. And we have a lot of good, passionate people in place, and looking forward to starting this ride.
All right, thanks, Marty. Appreciate it. I know we've got some media members on here. Feel free, Jason, I'll kind of let you run with it however you want, but feel free to ask a question here, and Coach will be happy to answer.
All right, Coach, you've been part of, a winning tradition up there in Minot, 7 straight years making the playoffs. And, in leagues where there's so much roster turnover, what's just the key to that consistency to success that you're hoping to bring to the Stampede?
I think the recruiting never stops. I think one of the best things you can do is surround yourself with good, knowledgeable people. And I alluded to the character of kids before, and that's strong in our beliefs. And having a good hockey team and a good nucleus on a hockey club is that leadership group. And, the recruiting process is one part of it. And then, just making everybody feel important. I think that's big. And in the game of hockey, it's about networking and knowing people. And, I think I was around the game a long time as a player, and now as a coach, you earn the trust of a lot of, people in the hockey world. And I value those relationships, but, it's not going to be easy. I know for sure. This league is tremendous. The parity is incredible, but really looking forward to moving up the ladder here in the USHL and trying to make our mark and have Sioux Falls as high up in the standings every year that we possibly can.
Does the similarity between, obviously, NAHL's Tier 2, this is Tier 1, does the similarity between the leagues help, or is it a completely different adjustment period going from the NAHL to the USHL?
Well, I always, especially early on in my coaching career in Minot in the North American Hockey League, it's always a challenge. And I give a lot of credit to our scouts and people watching hockey, because, you're first drawn to the best player on the ice, right? And a lot of times I'll go to a scouting event, and unfortunately, where we're based out of Minot and being the head coach, you don't really get out and watch a lot of recruits. It's mostly by video, but you're first drawn to the players that are the best on the ice, right? And you learn real quick that you can't have them. And that for me was the most challenging part of the North American Hockey League, is you're trying to get the best of the second tier. And, I think, in a sense, it might even be harder. So, there's a lot of things that are very similar. I think, run through a lot of the same names in the recruiting process that could, go either way. And that's what we try to do in Minot. We try to balance those kids that, potentially could make the USHL, or they could fall back. And if we miss them too high, so be it. But that was our philosophy there. And obviously the USHL is a little different in its younger league. The North American Hockey League tends to be a little older, a lot of 18 or 19, 20-year-olds. We don't have a limit on 20-year-olds. So the NAHL tends to be a little older than the USHL. So, I'm looking forward to working with some younger elite players as well. And, for me, it's just about having fun, coming to the rink every day, trying to get better. And that's what I expect of players.
As a coach, how would you kind of describe your the style of hockey you like your teams to play?
Well, when I played, I was always an offensive type player that appreciated players with creativity. But I found out right away you can have all the skill in the world, and if you don't have a strong work ethic and that fire in your belly, it's hard to accomplish anything in the game. And for me, we want to play a high-paced puck possession game. We want to be in people's faces. We want to play the game the right way. And part of my job, or a major part of my job, is making guys understand that it's a 200-foot game. It can't be a shift off and then you're back at it. It's got to be an all the time thing. And so that's what I want to bring to the table. We want to be stingy defensively. We want to be creative offensively, and we want to know the game within the game, understanding when there's a time to take a chance, perhaps when when we got to be, a little dialed in defensively, protecting a goal a lead at the end of the game. So there's just a lot of moving parts within the hockey game. But I think to answer your question in the broad form is, we want to be a high flying, responsible team that, plays with the puck a lot.
The last two coaches obviously won league championships here. That's quite a standard to live up to. Is there a pressure, or do you kind of enjoy that expectation that obviously they're going to – I'm sure that expectation is not changing, that they expect this organization to continue to contend for for Anderson and Clark Cup titles?
Well, no question. I mean, that's what we're here for. If you're not here to win and win championships, you're in the wrong line of work. And for me, I've been asked, over my career as a coach, do you focus more on the developmental side, or are you more about wins and losses? And to me, it's a real simple answer. I think that they go hand in hand. I think in order to get better, you're not going to be losing games by 5 goals every night and telling yourself you're getting better. That's just nonsense. So to me, they go hand in hand. And obviously, this organization has had great success under great coaches in the past and expect a winner. And for me, I've been lucky to both, play and coach those type of teams. And that's my mentality. I want to win every time we get out on the ice. I know that's not possible, but at the same time, I think it's possible to give yourself a chance to win. And that gets back to that, part about me talking about, the compete level, the work ethic. Some nights, the goalie's going to stand on his head and stop 45 shots. That's hockey, right? But for me, you put your best foot forward out on the ice. You leave it all out there. You're sweating your tail off. You give yourself a chance to win, and that's what I expect out of our team every night.
Any other changes to the coaching staff? Are you coming over? Any new assistants you're bringing with you, or are the current guys kind of staying there in place too, or how's that working?
Yeah, we're still navigating through that. Obviously, it's a crazy time with the draft coming up here in the next couple of days. So right now, the focus is the draft. I've enjoyed getting to know everybody in place a lot better over the last week. I've actually had relationships with all of them for a long time, so I know they have a good staff in place there. But right now is the focus is the draft, and then we can take a little bit of a breather, and then kind of reevaluate everything and see the direction we're going. But a good group of hardworking people there that are pushing to make the Stampede better every day, and I'm happy to be joining them.
For either Brian or whoever this is applicable to, obviously the last two head coaches you hired, Carey, the last two head coaches, Carey obviously was a college assistant at the time. Scott had been basically coming off a college job, and this one obviously you take from another junior league. Was there any reason you went differently with this in terms of going toward the junior hockey route as opposed to the last two coaching hires where it had been almost directly from college?
That's a good question. We've had a tradition of hiring experienced, seasoned coaches who have been someplace else, sometimes or oftentimes college, and then decided to come back, or were in the USHL, left and wanted to come back. Even Bob Motzko, our first coach, was in the USHL, went to college, and we brought him back. Marty's pedigree in the sport of hockey, and that's one of the things we err in favor of experience, just because we believe that we have something very special in Sioux Falls. And while throwing the keys to someone who's young and great and has a great future is an option and can work wonderfully, we have tended to go toward experience, and Marty is that. So you look at Marty's history in Minot, but his playing history, he's in the Hall of Fame in Manitoba. I mean, I was talking to Kevin Westgarth at the NHL yesterday on a totally unrelated matter, and he found out that we had hired Marty, and he's used to play with Marty in the NHL and in the AHL. And he was just off the charts, wildly enthusiastic about Marty and what he would do as the leader of our organization and just who he is as a person. And so those relationships matter, the experience matters. And so while Marty is coming out of the North American Hockey League versus coming out of college, I don't see it as any different. He's a very experienced, seasoned coach and person. He has the relationships established that are important to us, both at the professional level and at the college level. You got to have friends in our world. You got to have people that believe in you. I look at again, a guy like Bob Motzko or Mike Hastings or people that Marty has developed players for over the years, and they all rave about Marty and his ability to continue to grow our organization and make us even more competitive than we've been. And that's hard because we've had a ton of success. But I really believe in our group, in the process we went through, the friends we spoke with, the leaders in the sport of hockey that we talked to all the time, and it was unanimous behind Marty Murray.
Have you gotten a chance to chat with any of the players from this year's team?
Yeah, I put phone calls into everybody. The only guys I'm having a little trouble getting a hold of is the European players, but phone calls have been great, and it's a credit to the staff here that they brought in good people. I've really enjoyed the conversations I had with the returning players. They all seem excited. They're all obviously bummed that the season ended the way it did, and for me, I'm hoping that brings an energy into the fall when we can get back up and running, that the guys are hungry to get back on the ice. But I know all of them almost said, like, hey, we have a real good returning group coming back, really looking forward to it. So all the phone calls were positive on my end, and it was great starting that initial connection with each player.
How are you approaching the draft, having just started here? I mean, like you said, you kind of end up scouting some of the same players anyway, but how do you approach the draft right now in a time where we obviously – it's been a while since there's been any playing time, and I'm guessing it's a little – I remember I think Scott or somebody told me that this is going to be important depending on how far you are along as an organization you are in terms of having a competitive team next year. The teams that have their draft plan in place are the ones that are going to best come out of this when we do start playing again.
Yeah, it's a good question, and like I said before, I've been talking to everybody under the sun, and the nice thing about this game is the relationships you build, and I've been on the phone with advisors and schools and pro guys, and just trying to get every little edge you can, and I'm sure everybody across the USHL is doing that. But I really trust as well the staff in place here that they've done an exceptional job. I mean, if history repeats itself, they've done a great job with the scouting and recognizing high-end players, and so I'm thankful that Scott Owens is sticking around to help out with the draft a little bit. He'll be a big asset. He's working behind the scenes trying to continue to leave his mark in the organization. I thank him for doing that and making that commitment to this this new staff here. So it's going to be a lot of work. We have a lot to do in the next few days, but really excited. I think we have a good list in place, and we're still going to continue to hammer things out here in the next 72 plus hours.
Any other questions for Coach at all? Okay, well, everyone, appreciate you guys taking time today, and we'll obviously have more information here. The draft is Monday and Tuesday of next week. We'll get some information about that. You can follow along at USHL.com. And as we get closer to our tryout camp and more information on that, those things will all be available on our website and through social media. So appreciate everyone's time today. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.